in this episode.
The respect was given to the guys who played the game tough, who always made the plays, who were just the routine day in, day out guys that won games. That was who used to get respect.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And,
but the
and
problem
the same way
is,
in youth and college and high school.
I'm telling you, the attention is the issue. Is that you only learn that by watching a 3-hour game 100 times a year. That's the only way you know that. And there is no chance kids do that these days. They want to see clips and move on.
Yeah, they don't get that. They don't get that.
There's no way they can conceptualize that that's the real dude.
It's crazy.
There's no way. They can't. So I'm telling you, you have to change the narrative on it. You're not going to get the flash out of the game. That's here to stay. But you have to change the narrative in terms of, well, that's all good and well. And this dude did a bat flip. But, bro, he's hitting 200. Okay? He's got a long way to go. Well, look at Paul Goldschmidt.
I love him.
Guy does everything in the game right.
I mean, honestly, even Arenado, who at the beginning of his career is considered,
Flashy.
counterculture in a sense, and like
that's
he's
where you need to push
modest,
that.
The same exact way he plays, but that dude plays hard. He shows up every game.
Well, and I don't know if you guys remember the Manny Machado situation where he didn't run down the line for the Dodgers. Mm-hmm. Machado wanted to play for the Yankees, and the Yankees GM, or I think it was GM, said he's not Yankees material.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of The Closing Pitch. My name is Spiker Helms, and this is a show about people, culture, and how to create a winning lifestyle. We got Raff in the hot seat, and he's got a partner in crime.
Baby Bray here.
Dave, how's your day going? You don't have a kid.
It's good. A little less responsibility, which is probably good for me. So good.
Yeah. And he's throwing from his knees already, right, Raff?
He's squatting, deadlifting. He's everything.
He's the full package right now.
Right now he is. He's giving you the angry stare too.
Yeah, he's like, "You talking about me, bro?"
You will run 10 minutes late to everything with a baby, just so you know.
I thought you were doing good.
You're
only like 3 minutes late, buddy.
We're not on time.
Yeah, you're only 3 minutes late.
But yeah, it's great. It's pretty cool.
So Aaron Judge just hit his 62nd home run.
Yep.
Pretty impressive. Don't know if he's doing PEDs or not, but we'll give it to him. I consider him the home run champion right now, minus the steroids. He actually had a really good point yesterday. They should have two different lists. Yeah. They should have a PED list and they should have a non-PED list.
They need to.
And then if you test positive, then all your records end up moving over to the PED list. Something
like that. I mean, it's just. We're similar ages, all three of us, and I grew up watching baseball in the late '90s, early 2000s, and it's just it was like watching bodybuilding world championship or something,
right, for
baseball, and I don't know. I just think what he's done is just really special, especially now with all the testing, and think about it, they didn't start testing for HGH until I think 2012, so that's not even that long ago. So now with the testing being more stringent and whatnot, I grew up in that era. I loved watching baseball there. It was a lot of fun, but he's my home run champ too.
And when you were in the big leagues, explain that. Explain the testing side to it.
Oh, you were guaranteed to get tested in spring training. You'd get, they just show up. They would just be there that morning. You're like, I'm getting tested in the next few minutes to hours. So if you got steroids in your body, there's no real way around.
Right.
A day's or an hour's notice, right. 30 minutes notice. And then during the season, same thing. They'll just show up. Minor leagues, it's not as strict, but even then, you're probably going to get tested twice a year in the minor leagues. And then big leagues, there's days they were there 3-4 days in a row testing. If you got tested one day, you were expecting them to show up the next day and test. Sometimes it was blood, sometimes it was urine, but it's pretty stringent, and the levels they test for now are much more strict than before. So even if they were testing before, the levels were at a rate that you could actually potentially skate by. So unless you get a therapeutic use exemption, which some guys do have, you're gonna pop positive if you test for anything. So it's what he's done. I think it's clean, and his body really even in college, he
he's
was already
a monster.
that pretty big.
Yeah, he's been that big
his body
for
hasn't
a long
changed
time.
much, and my experience with him, like as a playing against him in the minor leagues, playing against some big leagues, a lot of his teammates were traded to teams I played on and talked to them about him, and he just doesn't seem like the guy who would ever even cross that line. So, at least as a professional,
It's good to know.
Yeah.
I love hearing that.
No, it also was interesting because Fernando Tatis Jr. got busted with PEDs, and I don't know about you guys. I just didn't buy the reporting on it. Like, it could be possible, but
it's possible, man.
Yeah, but it just like it feels like the players are kind of giving that like, oh, it was a medical reason or this just to try to get their name clean. I don't know, but anyways, pretty impressive with Aaron Judge, and what's even more impressive that you mentioned it yesterday, that he's doing it in a humble manner. I don't think I've ever seen him really pound his chest or bat flip or do the things that right now everyone loves, especially ESPN and MLB Tonight. He's doing it in where he just hits the home run, has a little bit of a toss, and then that's about it.
Yeah. We grew up in the same era of baseball, and I think there's something to be said for not, you could have some fun, but we always said, our coaches always preached to us, my parents always, respect the game, respect the game, respect the game. There's someone before you who came before you that you have even this opportunity to play this game. And I think the way he's gone about it is a way, I have my 8-month-old son here. If he plays baseball, I want him to play baseball like Aaron Judge, not Chaz Grissom or whatever his name is, or someone who plays similar to his style. It's just too much. It's just like, look at me, look at me, look at me. And there's nothing wrong with passion. There's nothing wrong with that kind of stuff. Don't get me wrong. But like you said, I think the most he's done is a walk-off home run. He tried to do his version of the gritty. You know what I mean? Like,
well, we had that conversation with Jose Bautista, the passion that he showed in the ALDS.
Yeah.
Where he ended up flipping that bat literally to the moon.
His career is never the same after that.
Yeah. I mean,
Go look at the stats.
Yeah, like if you look at his stats, and then he also got punched the next year.
Yeah.
Right in the face.
And he was a nice guy. Don't get me wrong. He was my teammate for 2 months. Like,
yeah, which I thought was interesting. You said Jose Bautista was a really good guy.
I actually thought he was a great dude. And I thought he played the game hard, and people liked him. Yeah, I mean, but that was in like this crazy playoff situation that he did that. You have guys doing this like, mid-June.
Yeah, third game into the year.
There was another
hitting 170 with 8 home runs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it reminded me of a story of the Milwaukee Bucks. I think it was in 2007. It was the last year that the Lakers ended up winning the championship, or is it 2008? But the Milwaukee Bucks were the best team in the NBA, got the number 1 seed. Mm-hmm. And I forgot what player it was, but he drained a 3 in the corner to basically seal the game for game 1. And he ended up doing like a dance where like he was like cojones, like he was doing that.
The Pedro.
After the game, he had to do an MRI, and he actually tore a ligament in his groin doing that dance, which it makes you think passion's a great thing, but
there has to be control.
Yeah, like it's that stoic mentality. It's that mentality of being able to have the discipline of knowing when to use that passion and when to throttle it down. There's something to be said of being extremely focused and using that passion and channeling towards being focused rather than channeling it into a passion moment. Where like Kobe Bryant, I remember the interview with him, the reporter's like, it doesn't seem like you're happy. He's like, well, what's there to be happy about? He's like, you just won the game. He's like, the job's not done.
Yeah.
We won this game, but the job's not done. We're going back to LA. They can come in and they could take 2 games from us. Job's not done. And he didn't show that passion until the job was actually completed. Like there was nothing else to do. And I also remember Barry Bonds get in one of his situations where they won the NLDS, and then he was not partying or doing champagne. He was in the corner, just literally locked in because he knew what was happening when the NLCS is going to come. He's like, we haven't made it to the World Series yet.
I mean, it's funny, like with Barry, I mean, yeah, we obviously know steroids and all that, but like, and granted, he wasn't the most well-liked guy by his teammates. Mm-hmm. It's very well documented. Managers didn't necessarily like him. It's very well documented. But when he played, he played. There wasn't much of, pounding the chest all the time.
until he reached a milestone.
Until he'd reach a milestone that he would kind of show off a little. And even then, it was more like he would just look up to the sky and go thank his family, whatever it was.
Even Jordan was like that too.
There weren't huge, like, and these are some of the best of their game. And, like, you know, I get it, the football mentality. But I see the football mentality towards baseball as more like the concentration, intense aspect, not the, like, how much can we, like, I mean, I can't even watch sports as much anymore. You got guys down by 30 points in the third quarter, fourth quarter, and they sack. And, like, they sack a quarterback.
And they do a dance.
And they're doing a dance. And I'm like, bro, yeah, you might be a rookie who doesn't get a lot of playing time, you're pumped. But, like, you're going to show more to that coaching staff. Just put your head down, get back in the huddle.
Yep.
And
or giving a high five to somebody.
Do it again.
Yeah.
Like, subtle. I mean, I can remember hitting home runs, doubles, whatever, down by 10. And, like, it was just like, yeah, like, thanks, guys. Like, that was cool. It wasn't like, yeah, I hit the home run. Yeah, we're down by 7 instead, and it's the 9th inning. You know, like, it's just, I think it's getting a little tired, and I just wish guys would just be more humble, more humility, and just play hard, man. Put your head down, play hard.
Well, last episode we mentioned about self-discipline, and I remember I mentioned this, that the coaching staff back then would always talk about the discipline aspect of it.
Yeah.
Like it was like in the forefront. I don't think you hear that much anymore at the youth level or in the high school level of, like, this is what discipline looks like. This is how it should be perceived. This is when you should celebrate. This is when you shouldn't celebrate. Because kids don't know. They're basically mimicking what they see on TV. And they're like, well, the big leagues do it. And then coaches use the lazy saying, well, you're not in the big leagues yet.
Sure.
There's a better way of doing it, I think. There's a better way of delivering that message to those players. So I don't know. It is interesting. I do agree that, like, Aaron Judge's milestone has been pretty impressive, and even after hitting 62, you didn't see him.
He didn't even pip it.
Yeah,
he put his head down and jog like he usually does.
Just a nice, easy jog around the bases.
I don't think anyone could
little fist bump,
handle themselves better than he has just in New York.
100%.
Like
100%. Even Garrett Cole. I think Garrett Cole had another milestone that he hit. I didn't read into it, but I know that they made an announcement for him as well. So
here's the issue. Okay, here's the issue. None of that stuff gets publicized on social media. That's because he's going about it the right way. It's not fun. It's not going to get clicks. It's not going to get likes. So none of the younger athletes these days are seeing that. It's not being talked about. Like Aaron Judge hitting 62 yesterday and just going about his business the right way is not showing up on ESPN. It's not being talked about. Now, his accomplishment is, but if he would have bat flipped, they would have been like, look at that celly. That's huge. They would have definitely pushed that out, but just because he went about it the right way, it's not. So what are young guys seeing? Young guys are seeing the dude striking a guy out in the 4th inning, down 4, doing the sword. They're seeing the guy, bat flip or pimp this or doing the celebrations at second. They're seeing all that me stuff that you're talking about. That's what they're seeing.
As much as I love it, but if you look at Bray wants to enter it, he's like, yeah, I agree with that, Dave. 100%, bro. If you look at every single player that's done that, like, I like it as a fan, and I think it's awesome to see, and I love that passion. But if you look at every single player that shows that passion, something happens. Ronald Acuna Jr., injured. Bauer, gone.
It is interesting. Like, you hate to look at it and, like,
I'm not saying karma, but, like,
yeah, I mean,
there's a cost to everything. There's a cost to showing that passion.
And as good as a guy like Juan Soto is, and, like, I can't watch him play. I cannot. Even when I was literally calling balls in, like, what pitch to come, and he's in the box, and he took a pitch, I just wanted to jump out of my stance and just jump all over him and be like, what is with you? Like, if I see him take a pitch, stare at the pitcher, and grab his crotch one more time, I'm like, what, like, really? Like, if we did that out in public, grab our crotch, just looked at someone, grab our crotch, like, it's probably not going to be a very good end result. And this is what's being, like, promoted. Like,
I'm seeing kids do that all the time now.
It's wild.
I had a kid do, like, a
he's
little,
not
like,
adjusting his
butt
cup.
shake
You know
out
what
there.
I mean? Like,
yeah,
he's trying to show the pitcher up, like, I just took a good pitch.
But you get on Twitter, dude, that's what they see.
It's wild. Like, it's just
that is now being equated to playing the game with passion.
No,
that is what it is now.
Well, back in the day, you'd have guys that would talk to each other
There's a lot
on the field.
Yeah.
But like I don't think you see that as much. I mean, there's so many different accounts where, like, example, Lou Gehrig, he was doing that streak. A pitcher threw at his head, hit him in the head, and then he yelled out to Gehrig, "I guess your streak's over," while he was knocked out. Like, that's hardcore stuff. Like, I don't think you see that anymore nowadays because there's protections on players. But like that, there's an avenue for it allowed to happen, and like there's no repercussions right away. But I think that there's a long-term repercussion to it.
I agree. You're always leaving behind some sort of legacy.
Yeah, there's a cost to everything.
I mean, you go watch games in like the '80s, and you saw dudes like pimp home runs and like Ricky Henderson pop his chain, things like that. And don't get me wrong, like it maybe too much, sure, but like that's when the pitcher could beam you for doing that. You know what I mean? Now, and I'm not saying that
they knew the cost of that. They knew the cost. You knew the cost. Like, I'm willing to do this.
I am willing to get hit so I can, like, show extra passion. Where now it's like there is no real disciplinary action on the other side. Where, like, yeah, do the pitchers probably celebrate too much too? Sure, but they got the ball in their hand, and you always knew that as a hitter.
Yep.
And you knew if you respected the game, like, you didn't have to worry about a ball coming at your head because. If anything, they were gonna if they hit you, it was 100% an accident.
I almost wanted the pitcher to celebrate because then I knew at that point that I had him later in the innings.
Yeah.
Because then he's gonna be more relaxed, and then I have a chance to get him back.
Look at the Indians. I mean, well, what are they? Guardians now.
Guardians.
Cal Quantrill, huge celebration early in the year. Denver just stared him down, shook his head. Boom. Next time he faced him, homer. A few, I think,
and those are the things that you don't hear. Those are the things that aren't mentioned.
Yeah, 2 or 3 years ago, I think the same thing happened with Jock Peterson, where pitcher, huge celebration. He just looked at him, shook his head. Next time he faced him, home run, and I think it won a game. And there's numerous accounts of this, and like, yeah, you can just say that's part of the game, but like, I also see it as like, you kind of like what you mentioned earlier. You kind of got what was coming to you in a sense, like karma in a sense. I love passion, but like there needs to be some sort of accountability and control. And honestly, like you look in the world right now, there's none of that. None. I mean, we look at Florida right now with the hurricane, and I'm using this example. People are trying to blame people for not evacuating. Like, at the end of the day, you're responsible for your actions. Like, there's a Category 5 coming. Like, if you don't leave, that's on you. Like, and to relate that into baseball, it's like if you don't act a certain way and something bad happens or people, like, it's on you. Like, and there's zero accountability anymore. There's zero self-awareness, anything.
Well, first thing people are going to say, well, that's old thinking, that's old age. It's not.
It's responsible thinking.
It's responsible thing, but also there's something to say for success and the guys that have continued and consistent success. Like, I look at every single person that has been successful consistently, not a flash in the pan. I hit a home run on one day that ended up winning a game. I'm talking about sustained success. The Kobe Bryants, the Michael Jordans, the Tom Bradys, like, they used their passion and then they celebrated when celebration was due.
Yes.
They didn't celebrate.
There was a feel for when to celebrate.
Yeah. There was a feel for what was happening because they knew that there was going to be another obstacle in their way at some point during the year, and they had to be completely lasered focused. If they just let off the gas and they let that passion out, you got nothing left. So you're done.
What do you say to a young player that views all that, bat flipping and celebrating and everything, that's the fun of baseball? Because that's coming up soon. It's already here, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I mean,
that's how they view it.
Like you mentioned earlier with coaches, like not saying anything about it. Like, if anything, Major League Baseball is, I'm pretty positive. They're sending out letters to teams being like, this is how we want the game played. This is what we want to promote to a younger crowd.
Yeah, because
they control that narrative.
Yeah, because they want to make sure that they have the audience. Yes. Like, it's all about attention.
Yes.
If you have attention, you have a product, right?
Yep.
So, and Major League Baseball, their biggest thing is they have to get views. If they get views, the game is promoted, which
money.
Again, I'm totally fine with. But the players need to understand, the young players need to understand that that's not reality. The highlights are not reality. Like, it happened at one moment at one time, but understanding what success is versus a highlight, that's a major difference. That is a major, major difference. So, but to say to a young kid about how this whole fall thing coming up with the baseball and the celebrations, I would say if you're looking at narratives, you're in the vast majority right now.
What is this fall thing you're talking about? There's a
World Series.
Oh, okay. I thought like some sort of like initiative came out being like, this is how we're gonna.
No. Wait, what's the World Series?
Forgot it was in the fall.
Yeah. No, I think it has to be that you're in the majority of the narrative. Like everyone likes that right now. Mm-hmm. Be different. Be someone that's willing to go against the grain, because 5-10 years ago, going against the grain was being all about celebrations.
Yeah.
And guess who was the catalyst of that? Bryce Harper. Guess what Bryce Harper is now? He's old time thinking right now. You don't see him the big celebrations like
you really don't. Like
he's very quiet.
In a sense,
he's very quiet.
I mean, even Trout for years is not a huge pimp guy. Like little bat flip, puts his head down, runs, and like arguably the best player in baseball. I mean, maybe not right now because he's been injured. But like, I'm with you. Like, that's one thing, especially this generation of age, and I'm not just talking about young kids. I mean, just this era of life in general. Like, yeah, dude, like stand up, turn the other direction, and walk away. Like, everyone's turning left, turn right. You know what I mean? Everyone's standing in the one window line waiting for whatever. Like, go to the next window. I mean, it was funny as I was giving lessons yesterday. Just to show you how much things have changed, the team next to me was doing a little like hitting challenge, and they had to call out how many points they think they're going to get that round. Almost every kid, besides one, I'm going to play it safe, 4 points. And I was just like, and these are 8, 9, 10-year-olds probably. One kid, 8 points. And the coaches literally they were like borderline, like anything borderline, they'd give it to him because like at least he had the to try and get 8 points. Everyone else was scared. And I was like, look, I mean, this is literally what we're talking about. Like, no one's willing to like
take
the risk and be different in a more, I guess, old school way.
Well, it's safe to be in the majority.
Yeah, it's safe to be in the majority. And what I hope for is like baseball style is kind of like clothing style. Everything kind of always comes back into style. Like everything right now I'm seeing is like stuff people wore like during the Spice Girl ages. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I really hope that the attitudes will rotate or come back into play like that, almost like clothing style in a sense, and people realize like this just isn't it. It's just not it. I don't know how else to describe it, but I mean, I'm gonna call out a player right now, like Carson McCaleb. We need more of those guys.
Yeah. Everyone,
like, we need more guys who work like him and have an attitude like him.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of strength in being able to know not to respond to something or not to show emotion. There's a lot of strength to that because you have to have a lot of endurance in your mind to not fall victim to it, where someone prompts you to say something and then you end up saying it, right? Or prompting you to act a certain way and then you end up acting that way rather than conserving it and saying, I'm just going to keep this in the back of my mind. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, it's being able to put a log in your head and be like, oh, I'll remember that. Don't worry.
That's how
it's coming to you.
Like, I mean, and to your question, like, what do we do? Tell kids.
What's the alternative?
I don't know. Like, I don't know. I know for me, it was the coach pulled me aside. Maybe not the best time to do that. My dad, hey, not the best time to do that. Like, I don't know if it's a parenting thing, a coaching thing. It's definitely a cultural thing.
I'll tell you this. The minute you tell them you can't, you're going to lose them.
And that's what's scary is like you tell a kid no now, and there's
so many other things to do in this world.
They'll quit the team and go to another team.
Go to another team, quit the sport. This thing ain't fun anymore, especially you do it at the younger ages.
Yeah.
You have to incentivize fun and experience in a different manner.
Yeah. There's got to be a somewhat respectful way to do this, and I don't know if I have that answer. But I know, buddy, right? Give him a pet giraffe chew toy, I suppose. But I don't know. It's concerning, and it's every sport. Like it's literally every sport besides maybe hockey. And hockey, when they celebrate, it's like 2 seconds. Boom, they go. Because hockey might be the sport to model everything after.
Well, because there's going to be a response to that.
You got the enforcer who's going to check you into the boards and make you wish you never did it.
Yep, it's a self-check system.
Yeah,
where baseball used to be that way. There was a self-check
system. It used to be that way.
Yep.
Football used to be that way. Now, because of protection on hitting and whatnot, it's not.
Yep. Well, even baseball from like you had different like the middle infielders. They would go down and throw on a double play, and they knew that you were on the line. They're going to go down and try to hit you with that baseball. Or even the runners. I'm not going to go towards the bag. I'm going to go take out
to throw it right at their forehead.
Yeah.
If they were late sliders, like literally, you were taught that.
Yeah, and it was
Not saying it's right, but that's what it was.
I mean, but it got the guy down. He wasn't going to spike you.
Yep.
There's just I'm not sure. I mean, I wish there was more hockey in baseball, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you'd love a top-down approach. You'd love the stars of the game who should be at the forefront of all the messaging to be the most active in determining how the future of the game should be played.
Yeah.
That would be the most ideal approach. Unfortunately, and I don't understand why, MLB does not operate like any other sport in terms of promoting their stars. They don't.
Well, so this is interesting, is that at the end of the day, the stars are the ones that determine how involved they want to be.
That's true.
And what happens is you have the best players. They don't want to. They want to just be in the limelight on the field, and that's it. That's it. They want to, like we were talking about earlier. They want to do the job on the field. They want to go home, do their charity work, and be out of the limelight. And the thing is all the players now. Excuse me, buddy. What are you doing? They all the players now, like, they want that light, and instead of doing it in the Aaron Judge type of way, they want to do it in the crazy football celebration way, I guess you could say. And that's what's hard about it, is they know the easiest way to promote is the guys that want to be in the light, and that's with these crazy celebrations and way they go about the game.
Because they want to get eyeballs.
They need they need that feel of like the eyes are on me, and
unless the player hits a milestone, that's kind of like.
I mean, I like a guy like Bryce Harper does not want the eyes on him. Most players do. A guy like Trout does not want the eyes on him.
Yeah.
Here, take a bobo. So I mean, I don't know how it's concerning. I'm worried
because it's definitely going in a different direction, right? I mean, the way young kids get motivated to play the sport is totally different. And I'm not saying the old way is the right way, but I don't think the new way is. And I just see, like, plain example, I can ask 9 out of 10 kids who their favorite baseball player is in a lesson. They can't name one guy.
That's crazy.
They can't. They don't watch it. They don't, but they see 10-second highlights.
Yeah.
That's all they know baseball as. They don't sit down and watch a game. They just know the 10-second highlight, which unfortunately the only thing they see now is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
That's all they see. So now when they go out to play the game, that's what they emulate. They
need to say "let's go" like a 50,000 times.
They have success, and that's what they do.
Or
They
bat
do
flip.
the Juan Sotos. They do the bat flips. They do all of this stuff because that's the only thing they know.
They haven't experienced the whole struggles of the baseball career.
That's it.
Well,
and then when they do seem a struggle, they end up going the other way.
Contrary to your point about like they can't name a player, with me, almost every player, Tatis Jr.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, in my day, it was Derek Jeter. And it's like, what a difference. Same position.
A totally different atmosphere.
Totally different ways
totally
of going
different
about
play.
playing the game. And it's like, to see that, and these are 12, 13-year-old kids, and majority of them, Tatis Jr., and, you know, nothing against him, but, like, I don't know.
He's a
like,
flashy guy.
He's super flashy, super showboat, super everything, like, and, like, you asked me, it was Derek Jeter.
He's the look-at-me
You know
guy
what I mean?
versus
Like,
the guy that just wants...
That was the majority of everyone's favorite players back then, or, I mean, even a Ken Griffey Jr.,
Well, he was more
flashy.
He was pretty flashy back then. Back in
compared
the
to
day,
now, he's
to
modest. Think about that. Like, he would be a modest ball player the way he played the game with his home runs, because he really, when he'd pimp, was just the bat drop, a little bit of whatever, and then he'd go about his business. Like, he made a phenomenal catch now. I mean, he'd celebrate for a second, and then it was done. Like, to think Ken Griffey Jr. would be modest in today's game is wild to me. But just so, Derek Jeter was probably my generation's favorite player. This generation's favorite player is more of a Tatis or Soto, and I think just watching them play tells you everything you need to know.
There's no checks and balances. That's what it comes down to. Right? That's what I think it is, because you didn't have that. Like you had a Randy Johnson lefty on lefty. Like, that guy's gonna buzz you.
Yeah,
Like he's not gonna let you get comfortable in that box. How many pitchers actually throw in consistently?
There's plenty, and not as much as they need to. The problem is if you go in too much, you get a warning because you accidentally hit a guy. Where it's just different. When before it was like you tell your pitchers, hey, you got to pitch in. If you hit the guy, we don't care. Like that's part of the game. Now it's you pitch in, you hit a guy, and here's a warning. You do it again, you're out of the game.
Yeah. Well, and it's the thing that lacks, and here's a big issue. It's the common respect for the game is missing, but the common respect for your opponent's also missing.
I agree.
And if you bring it up as a coach, you get looked at by players like you're sucking the fun out of this game,
you're
dude.
A lame duck.
What are you doing?
Yeah,
that's what you get looked at.
It is crazy to think like
you legitimately get looked at by players, young players, old players alike.
How do players get respect now? Because I remember back in the day, respect was more of like
you want to know why?
It was more the respect was more of like if you had like an intimidating posture or look, and then you were able to throw in and then throw out, and then being able to control that.
You mean
box.
Get a guy out?
Yeah, like if you're a pit, well, I mean, you actually were respected.
Yeah, how you get respect now? You're the hardest thrower on the team, but it doesn't matter if you get walks or whatever. It doesn't matter. Yeah. That's a respected guy. The guy who hits the ball the hardest off a tee or hits the ball one time a million miles, that's respect.
He's right. My day, it was the way
do
you think
that?
The game.
Do you think the safety protocols have actually hurt the game? Like, even though, like, again, safety's nice, but again, we're playing a sport. This is what I never understood. We're playing a sport that is a ball of yarn, and you have a little club, and we're expecting everyone to be safe, and they're not going to get hurt.
If you want to be safe, don't play a sport.
That's what I'm saying.
It's like the NFL player who's just like, guys, I'm all about protecting, but like, I think it was last year. I can't remember who it was, and he literally said like, I very well know my risk playing this game. I very much know that like I have a very good chance of getting hurt, but this is football. Like we can't turn this into flag football. We can't turn this into touch. And like he was very, very critical of like some of the safety stuff. He's like, if you're concerned about your safety, don't play. And I tell that to young players that are scared of the ball. I was like, if you're scared of the ball, just stop now. Because like it'd be like playing tackle football and getting upset if you get tackled.
Yeah,
getting hit by a pitch.
I understand
like
player
point. Like,
I understand player management, and not overworking a kid.
Totally.
But I don't understand why you're eliminating contact when baseball used to be a semi-contact sport. For all those that can't remember, you could easily take out a shortstop if you were running down the line and breaking up a double play. I had one
reach the bag with
I
your
had
hand.
one arm length, and I could go after a bag. If there was a bang bang play at the plate, I had the opportunity to, and the catcher was blocking the plate, I could run into him.
We worked on it. Like literally, they'd bring out a tackling dummy and hit us with it in college. Like we worked on to getting hit in a collision on how to take the blow. Like, and it stopped because one guy put himself in a bad position. Like, think about it. And I don't know. I did it protect me when they got rid of it? Sure. I'm not the biggest dude, but like, you know what? Back to your point about getting respect. Guess who got a ton of respect when he got hit by a dude who's 6'2", much bigger than him, got right back up with the ball in his hand?
Oh yeah.
Me. You know what I mean?
Well, I still remember Ivan Rodriguez getting hit, and he had the ball, and he was holding the ball.
I was at that
and
game.
Had the passion coming out because he knew that he gained the respect of everybody at that point because he just got trucked and still had it held onto the ball.
I was literally at that game, and I remember being like, oh, dang it. Like, he dropped it. And when he came up like that, I was just like, oh, my God. And, like, I wanted to be like him. He was 5'8", Puerto Rican guy. Like, hi, that's me. And, like, I was like, wow, if this little 5'8" guy can do it, I can too, like I can be tough like him.
The respect was given to the guys who played the game tough, who always made the plays, who were just the routine day in, day out guys that won games. That was who used to get respect.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But the problem is
in youth and college and high school.
I'm telling you, the attention is the issue. Is that you only learn that by watching a 3-hour game 100 times a year. That's the only way you know that. And there is no chance kids do that these days. They want to see clips and move on.
Yeah, they don't get that. They don't get that.
There's no way they can conceptualize that that's the real dude.
It's crazy.
There's no way. They can't. So I'm telling you, you have to change the narrative on it. You're not going to get the flash out of the game. That's here to stay. But you have to change the narrative in terms of, well, that's all good and well. And this dude did a bat flip, but bro, he's hitting 200. Okay? He's got a long way to go. Well, look at Paul Goldschmidt.
I love him.
Guy does everything in the game right.
I mean, honestly, even an Arenado, who at the beginning of his career is considered,
Flashy.
counterculture in a sense, and like
that's
he's
where you need to
borderline
push
modest.
that.
The same exact way he plays, but that dude plays hard. He shows up every game.
Well, and I don't know if you guys remember the Manny Machado situation where he didn't run down the line for the Dodgers. Mm-hmm. Did you know that he wanted to play for the Yankees the following year? And the Yankees, what did you know about Machado?
We might need a diaper change.
Machado wanted to play for the Yankees, and the Yankees GM, or I think it was GM, said he's not Yankees material.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
It starts to come around full circle, right?
Yep. I just think it's a matter of I would love to see both.
Sorry. You're good.
He's so happy right now. Both spectrums. I would love to see the flash and the self-discipline come together.
I agree.
And then being able to have both. It's not a this or that. If you're a coach and like trying to knock that out of it, no, I would try to mesh the two together.
Just starts with bringing that conversation back. Like, yeah, hey, we all saw the 10-second highlight.
It was
that's
freaking
cool
awesome.
And that's awesome. Like, I'm not trying to fight that. But you know what else is cool? This dude over here that fielded at a 99% clip this year. This dude he just won a Gold Glove for that, and that's pretty dang sweet. And every day you can hit 100 balls at him, and he fields 99 of them. Think about how sick that is.
Yeah.
And not only does he field, he makes the play too with the throw.
Well, are there any more David Ecksteins who just you hardly know the guy and he plays?
They are. They just die in junior college baseball.
He plays 20 years in the big leagues and is
Do you think Eckstein could play in this league?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Who knows? I mean, maybe. I think it's kind of tough because then you're maybe comparing apples and oranges in a sense. But why not?
Yeah. I mean, I guess each era has their own specialty and their own mystique about it.
Did anyone play better defense than him?
No. They're just consistent.
Yeah. I mean, Derek Jeter wasn't the greatest looking infielder of all time.
Yeah.
It looked really bad. Not really bad, but Eckstein didn't look the part either at all.
He didn't. But I mean, another guy that why can't we strive to be more like that?
Right.
Yeah.
That's what it just needs to be brought. That's what it just needs to be brought up in conversation more. You have to combat that. You have to open the eyes of the young athlete to know that, hey, this is also out there too. And this makes a big deal. Yeah. This is a big, big deal. And there are, as you want to emulate some of that other stuff that looks fun and cool, it's also really cool to win 80% of your games because you do a lot of things right. That's also really, really cool. And here's how you do that. And then you do that without disrespecting everyone you play against, because that's also cool.
Or the guys that came before you.
For sure.
I think there's something to say to that.
There's
a
lot to say. 100%.
If we can find a way to mesh old school with new school, I think it'd be phenomenal. Because some of the flash is fun, I just think so much of it's just so overboard. It's just too much. Where we can find a way, like you mentioned, to bring both together. I'm not sure how. And I think maybe the early 90s, late 80s, 70s, like that hard-nosed style of baseball, if you go watch some of those games, I think it was a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't as much media then and all that, so you can see it. You can't see it.
You know what the safety protocols kind of remind me of, and especially from the high school age, because it gave a lazy way out for the coaches not to teach how to protect yourself in those situations. That's my honest opinion, is that it, because when I got to college, then guys could have full lengths and I started getting taken out. No one taught me that. No one talked to me about that. I think it just got a lazy way for coaches not to teach that aspect of the game, and being able to say, hey, you don't have to worry about it because you can do whatever you want. The guy's not going to break up the double play. I felt so stupid this summer saying, all right, break up the double play. And the guy's like, well, how do I break up the double play? I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. You can't do anything.
It's wild.
I'd also love to see some of the older generation of baseball guys who have either played at the high level or
Open
coached
up
for a long
about
time
what they feel.
talk more about it.
That'd be great.
I'd love to see
I
that.
don't
Instead of
mean-
right now, they're just kind of exiting the game saying, I don't need
Yeah.
to deal with this.
Yeah.
I don't even know what this game is anymore and where it's going. It doesn't look what I played and I'm just off into the sunset. I wish they'd, because you hear like the Jack Flaherty's of the world, he gained a ton from talking to Bob Gibson, and that, the Arenados learned a lot from so-and-so. I mean, those guys are being taught by the old generation. They're privy to that info. I'd love for the mass population to be able to hear more about how that game was played and the respect level and the differences.
I'd like that too, and not just the guys that are 50. Like I wouldn't mind guys that are more the 70, 80-year-old players.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Hear what they say, because like at the end of the day, like what does everyone always say? Like you got to learn from your history.
Yeah.
Like if you don't learn from your history, you're just gonna continue to make dumb mistake after dumb mistake and never learn. And like I think it'd be great to hear from like the history of players, and not just guys who retired 10 years ago.
I think the worst thing is
really
is
cool.
having them shut up and not say anything.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather have those opinions out there. Like, there's a lot of stuff that Pete Rose says that I completely disagree with, but I'm willing to sit down and listen to a clip of his and just being able to know what it was like back then, or hit what he thinks is wrong with the game, and being able to take that information, sit with it, and either make a decision, I agree with that, or I disagree with that.
At least digest it.
Yeah, like digesting it. Like I think too many people are like, shut up, old man. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Like, I mean, shoot, I talk to my grandparents, and sometimes it can be tough. But like, you know what? They usually have something to say once every phone call that I'm like, we need more of that.
Yeah,
Like,
that's an
I'm gonna
interesting
adapt that
perspective.
in my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
100%.
I think that'd be, I don't know. But I think you're right, though. I think we need both. We got to find a way to,
Got to do something.
like this, it's just grabbing the crotch after taking a good pitch. It's just a little much.
Well, I mean, if you don't say anything, they're going to default to something else, and they're going to default to their phone. I would rather talk about it, not necessarily fight with them on it, but being able to talk things
Just a
through.
conversation.
Yeah, and then if I disagree with it, then being able to really sink my teeth in and really think like, okay, how are you thinking? How are we going through this? Because if I don't say anything, they're going to default to their phone, and the phone's going to be teaching them, and you're subject to that, which is kind of scary to think about.
I agree.
So, anything else, Dave?
Good.
Ralph?
No, a
Bray?
good conversation. Bray.
What you got,
time to
Bray?
Speak up.
You were talking, and then you
You're
had a
the
chance to
star.
talk.
You want?
Uh-oh, now you're camera shy.
Yeah, now he's camera shy.
Oh, no.
Guys, this is an episode of The Closing Pitch. Thanks for listening in. Subscribe to the channel. Give us a 5-star review. And we will see you or talk to you in the next episode.
See you guys.
ya.